Hey guys, and welcome to the Google Shopping Ads course. In this video, we're going to go over how to set up your shopping campaigns in a two-tier setup. We're also going to include a third campaign that will be set up to retarget in the future. If you want to follow along, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. That way, you're notified when the new videos come out. Alright, let's get started guys. So here is my campaign that I'm working on right now. This is a live campaign. Obviously, I blurred a lot of the information out. And we may get into this later where I show you how to actually optimize your campaign. But for now, let's start a new campaign. So I'm going to go here and there's this plus button here. So to get there, you go under your campaigns on the left, go over to this plus button, click on the plus button. You're going to see new campaign, go to new campaign. We're going to be essentially starting 3 campaigns, but we're going to start with 1 and then I'm going to show you how to duplicate those. Start with 1. So first thing we're going to do is there's a lot of different options up here and most of them are about goals and it's a lot of things like sales. You may think that's the one you want to go to, but right now what I suggest is actually create one without any goals. This gives you the most amount of control and it takes the control out of Google's hands and into your hands. And especially when you're first starting and you don't have any sales, this is where you're going to want to start. If you have a lot of sales, like you're constantly getting sales, then yes, Google may be able to assist, but that could be something for another video. But right now, let's go to create campaign without a goal guidance. So we're going to come down here. It gives us an option, search, display, shopping, video. Obviously, we're going to go shopping in this one because that's what we're setting up. So shopping ads. Come down here. And this is going to be automatically linked to your account if you've already done your account setup. So you can leave that alone. And down at the bottom here, it says select a campaign subtype. Keep in mind that the selection can't be changed later. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually create a standard shopping campaign. If you select smart, that's going to give a lot of the control to Google. But what we're going to do is create a standard one. All right, so at top here, we're going to have our information for our store. We're going to campaign name, and what I'm going to call this is alpha campaign. And there's some other information here that we could add in as well. Sometimes you want to make this fairly detailed, like your return on ad spend, but I haven't went into that in any of the other videos yet, so we'll leave that for now, but know that we can change this later. We could add in a, let's just say we want to get a 10 times return on ad spend. So that's a really nice number. If you get 10 times return on ad spend, you're doing really well. So anyways, I'm going to put that as, that'd be a target return on ad spend. I like to have that in there, but it's not necessary. Just kind of keeps you organized. Down here under additional settings. So in additional settings, we're going to go to inventory filter, and we're going to leave it as recommended. That's fine. If you have local products, then you'd want to play around with this. But for what I'm doing here, it's going to be an e-commerce store that doesn't have local products. But if you were selling local, you may want to enable this. But we'll leave that for now. Most of these settings, what you can do is you can go back into them and change them later. So if there's something you want to change and you're not sure about, you can leave it for now and go back to it at a later time. So campaign URL options. This is where you can add some tracking in. It'll allow you to keep better track of it in Google Analytics, that kind of thing. But don't worry about it right now. We can always add that later. Down to bidding. Let's go to manual bidding. There's target ROAS is probably one of the better automated ones. And what it does, it will keep it at your return on ad spend that you want to spend, but you have to have quite a few conversions or sales before you do this. I believe the recommendation is around 30 a month. So if you don't have that, let's go manual CPC and let's uncheck enhance CPC. This allows Google to optimize your bid and it'll allow it to go from all the way down to the bottom, all the way up to the top, so they can adjust your ad spend. And as you get more conversions, you could check this off and allow Google to take some control of your ads. But when you're first starting, you want manual CPC. Enter the average you want to spend each day. So we can add in So what I would do to get your average, you take the amount you want to spend in the month. Say you want to spend $100. So take $100. All right. So to get this, so take $100, and what we're going to do is we're going to divide it by 30.4. This is what Google uses to do their math. So if you do that, you can get a daily spend of 3.2. So if we put in 3.2, if that's what all we want to spend is $100, let's just use that for a number for this time. So we only want to spend $3.20 every day. And that's going to give us $100 over the entire month. Google will go over this amount per day. So don't freak out if it goes up to $4, maybe even $5 one day. It will adjust over time. It will take your lower spend days and it'll adjust, and it should end up equaling about $100 through the whole month, because that's what your limit is. But your daily limit will go up and down. It's kind of a strange way they have this set up, but that's what I would do. So for now, we're going to enter 3.2, but later what we're going to do is we're going to actually use a shared budget to control this. So there's a reason for using a shared budget, and it's very important. So later on, we're going to add in a shared budget. If you have each of these campaigns set up on their own budget, we can run into some problems. So we want to make sure that's done later. And I'm going to leave it as standard. I like standard, but if you want it to try to spend all your ad spend right up front, then you can do accelerated. All right, so at the top here we have alpha campaign. So this is going to seem a little bit backwards, but trust me on this. We're going to have this as a low for campaign priority. So just to explain this a little bit here, what's going to happen is if someone types in a generic keyword like surfboard, it's going to go and it's going to be our high priority. This is going to be our beta campaign. All right, we're setting up our alpha right now, but in our beta campaign, we're going to set as high. This one we're going to set as low. And the reason we want low is we want any keyword that comes through to go straight to our beta campaign. We're going to set up some negative keywords that's going to bounce it out of there and into our low. If you don't understand this, that's fine. I want to release another video here where I do go into more detail about this. So again, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do, because that's going to be one of the things I'm going to cover in a later video. But for now, just understand that the alpha campaign is going to be low priority and the beta is going to be high when we set that up later. So continue down. We're going to take off. We want to be specific. We want to get as much as targeted as we can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to include YouTube. I'm going to actually uncheck that, because I'd rather start with less and then include it later on. So I'm going to uncheck this as well. I want to be as specific as I can and just target Google Shopping. I don't want to be targeting anything else but that. Later on, we can go in and you can experiment with different things like YouTube and see if how it affects your sales and that kind of thing. But I would start out basic and increase it as you go. Next, set up your country that you want to target. This is obviously going to be very important, because if you're targeting the wrong country, your sales are going to come in incorrect. So make sure you're targeting the right country. You can have a targeted country here. I have United States as my targeted country. And then let's say I want to exclude something. So I go into, say I want to exclude Hawaii. Maybe I don't want to ship all the way to Hawaii in this case. So I'm going to come up here and then I can say exclude. So also, if you want to include, maybe you want to include just one province from Canada, you could come in here and include that as well. But we're going to exclude it. So let's say exclude Hawaii, and we could exclude more of them if you want, but let's just leave it at that for now. So down here, we want to check the right box off in here. So it's people in or who show interest in your targeted locations. So if you want to target people that show interest in your locations, then this one you check off. But for me, so I want people in or regularly in the targeted location. And also excluded. We want to exclude people in your excluded locations. And that's, again, going to be more specific to what we want. And you can set an end date if you want. I'm going to leave mine open-ended and just say save and continue. So here's two different kinds of shopping ads you can do. The regular shopping ads are product shopping, So what we're going to do is click on that one. That's the one we're going to be setting up. This one is showcase shopping. It's a little different, and I probably will do a video later on that. But for now, let's do product shopping. That's the main shopping ads. So come in here. We're going to just call this, again, alpha. Let's call this alpha. And then let's say 10 times ROAS. And that way I can keep track of my ROAS spend. You can create different ad groups, but for now, I'm just going to set it up as one specific topic. And there are other ways to organize your campaigns, and I'll show you that here shortly. And I prefer to just have it all in one campaign, depending on what size you're dealing with. If you're dealing with a very large campaign, then you may want to split this up and have multiple ad groups inside your campaign, and that works just fine. But make sure that they are all enabled on each campaign. Otherwise, you will run into problems. So, and maybe I'll do a video on the problems that you can run into while running these campaigns, and I'll show you that as well. But for now, let's start with this. Enter your cost. So again, here we want to start with a bid. Let's just say we could start with $1, but this could be anything that you want to start with, depending on where you are and how well you know your products and how much you want to spend on each product. You may adjust this. So I'm going to leave it as $1, but that's something you'll have to definitely look into. But for now, you can leave it as $1 as well, and it can be adjusted, and we're going to adjust it per product, and that'll actually come up in a later video. But let's save this. All right, so congratulations. We have our first campaign, and it's our alpha campaign. So I don't really want this to run at the moment, so we're going to go back. And we're going to hit pause. You can see, there we go. So we're going to hit pause. That way it's not running at the moment. All right, so you can see here that I've paused it now. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into this here and into our ad group, our product group, sorry. And what we're going to see is all products. And it's going to list every product. In this campaign that I'm running, I have 334 products. So we're going to have to split this up because you can't just put one bid as $1 for everything you have. So what you're going to do is you're going to go in here and you can hit the plus mark. And as you can see, it's going to bring up a whole ton of different product types. You click up at the top here and you can see you can do it by brand, item ID, custom labels, which I want to show you in a later video as well. There's a lot of neat things you can do with custom labels, but for right now, what I'm going to do is brand. I'm going to start it with a brand, and I'm going to check off all these brands, and I'm going to just check it off at the top here, and save without editing. See, now we're already divided into all our brand names. So now in each of these brands, what I'm going to do is going to click on this plus again, add subdivision. And you can now subdivide it by product type, but maybe you don't have a lot of product types. You could do it by item ID. You could also start at product type and divide it that way. Depending on how your setup is, you could start with product types and then do brands. And it's going to just change the way your campaign looks. So go into product item IDs and save without editing. There you go. So now you can tell, I can close this product here. I can open it back up. And it just separates everything else. I have other brands down here. Let's do one more. So I'm going to add subdivide. I'm going to do, this time I have two different product types. So I'm going to do two different product types and save without editing. So now I have two product types here. And then I'm going to have this one down here. I'm going to do subdivide again. And I'm going to do items. So check them all off and then save. And actually with this one here, I'm going to go back in. So if you ever want to edit this, say you add the product later, you're going to want to come back in and edit, because what it's going to do is going to throw it into this everything else folder, and you're going to want to add it. But also when you're doing this, sometimes it takes a little bit to load. If you have this many products under one item, what's going to happen is if you go down and scroll down, you can see that it did not pick up all the items. So scroll down all the way to the bottom, check it off again, and you're going to want to do this if you have a lot of items. If you only have a few, then it's not going to have this. It's kind of I guess some kind of glitch in the way it adds it in. but scroll down and then do it again, save it again. Now I have every product item ID in there. I can fold this down, and now I have 2 different categories. I have all the item IDs. I can fold up my brands and make it all compact. All right, guys, so make sure before we go on to the next step that you go through each one of these and completely segment them how you want. So you can do by brand name, and then product type, and then item ID. That's one way I like to do it. Or you can go product type, brand name, and item ID. So it depends how you want to segment them out. I usually like to go with brand name first and then product type if I need to segment by product type, depending on how many SKUs are in each product. So there's different ways depending on how you have it set up. If you only have one brand name, say this is your own brand, you may want to segment differently than someone that has carries multiple brands. So it depends. And later on, like I said before, custom labels are going to be our friend in this, and we can set that up as well. And I'll show you how to do that in another video. But for now, I just want to get you started here. So get that set up, because if you have a lot of these, we want that done before the next step. Pause the video, go ahead, do that, come back, and we'll continue on. All right, so if you've done that, let's go back to all campaigns. As you can see, I have quite a few, but don't worry about that. The only one we've created right now is this one up top. That is our alpha campaign. What we're going to do is click on that campaign, the little checkbox here. We're going to go up to edit, and we're going to actually copy this campaign. And we're going to come up to edit again. Then we're going to go down to paste. So you're going to paste it. You can see right up top here, we have paste one campaign. Pause new campaigns after pasting. So we're going to check that off so we don't have to worry about it starting to feed money into that account. So do that and paste it. If you don't see your campaign when you paste it, just make sure you have your filter, or if you don't see your old campaign you made before, make sure you're not filtering out your campaigns, because we paused them. So you want to make sure that in this filter that you don't have a filter set to only see eligible to run campaigns. If you see this not eligible to run, you can have paused. So what I've done is checked off, because I only want to see my paused campaigns, because that's all I'm working on right now. So but if you want to see the pause ones, just make sure yours is set up this way for status, and it's under filters. Just a side note. All right, so let's continue on. So we duplicated once. Let's duplicate one more time. Come up here, copy, and then paste again. Come up here, pause after pasting, paste. Perfect. We have 3 campaigns. This is going to allow us to have an alpha campaign, a beta campaign. And the difference between these is alpha is going to be any keywords you want to show up for that you want to spend a lot of money on, or you want to spend more money on. They're going to be very targeted keywords. And I'll show you how to do this, because it's not the same as if you were to just say, I want to I want to show up for the brand Nike. I can't just type in Nike. I would have to actually do it a certain way, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's just rename this one up here. It doesn't matter what one you rename, as long as we know what one is which. So let's call this the beta campaign. And you could change your return on ad spend if you want. Let's say we know we'll get less out of this, so we're going to go for 7 return on ad spend. And then let's go down here. We're going to call this one retargeting. Because what you're going to be doing with this one is, if someone's already visited your site once, this is going to allow you to retarget that person with a higher bid, because we know they're more likely to buy if they've already visited our site once and they come back searching for that product again on Google. We know that that person is probably more likely to buy. So we're going to set that up in the future, because there's a few more steps that have to go with that one. Let's see if that one is right there for now. And the reason I duplicate it now is just because it's easier to duplicate it and have all that campaign structure go with each of these. All right, so I've put a 1, 2, and a 3 just so it helps organize my structure here a little bit so you can see it better, because I have so many campaigns. But we have an alpha campaign, a beta campaign, and a retargeting campaign. Each of these, you're going to want to go in and change the ad group as well. As we're not doing a whole lot with the ad group, it's not a big deal to have this named. There are some things you can do with ad groups, but in all honesty, just having it set up this way will work for you just fine. There, so now I've set up now, so each has their own ad group name as well that matches their campaign name. All right, so I'm going to show you how to actually get this to work properly. So there's a few different things we're going to have to set up. So we have to go into each of these campaigns and we have to set the priority for each of them. So the first one, alpha, you'd expect the alpha to be the top priority, but it's not. It's actually going to be a low priority. So people are going to be searching and they're going to come to your beta campaign. What's going to happen is it's going to take your keyword that they were searching for. Say they were searching for Nike, and in the beta campaign, we're going to have a negative keyword of Nike. So Nike's not going to, we're not going to pay any money for Nike in the beta campaign. So this beta campaign is going to be a high priority. Things are going to come right to that first, and it's going to check, is this Nike or is this another keyword? If it's Nike, so it'd be a yes, it goes on to alpha campaign. If it's not Nike, then the beta campaign continues because it's the high priority campaign. So it'll push it through. If it's a keyword that you don't want to target in your beta, it will push it through up to your alpha campaign where you're going to spend more money on this keyword. So it's kind of a reverse structure in a way. So go into your, let's start setting this up. So go into your alpha campaign, go into the settings. And right down here, you can see bidding and budget. Go down here and make sure this is on low. And this one automatically default is low, so it should be set up properly. So let's get back out all campaigns and go back to your beta campaign. Now go back into your settings again. And if you look over here, your campaign is set on low by default. We want this actually to be set on high. And again, like I said, it's backwards to what you would think it would be. All right, so go back to all campaigns again. All right, so go back into the last one here. We might as well set this up as well. This is one of the steps for setting up a retargeting campaign. So go into your settings and set this one to high. Because this is going to be almost like a catch-all for the retargeting. But what's going to happen is it's going to keep track of who's went to your site. And if they have went to your site, then it'll go to this campaign. If they haven't, then it won't even bother with them. It'll continue on to our beta campaign and so on. But without setting up some other steps here, this campaign isn't going to do anything. So let's we're going to leave retargeting as paused. If you do unpause this after you're done with this video, make sure you leave retargeting paused until you know what you're doing with the retargeting. Alpha beta will work after we're done with this video. All right, so now we have our two campaigns set up where the priorities are set up to filter properly, but we have no negative keywords. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you where to find your keywords. So you go into here, there's keywords. You can actually look at your search terms here, which is great, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for negative keywords. And this is one place you can put your negative keywords in right here, but I don't suggest you do it because it gets kind of messy after you do this in a couple campaigns, because you have to go into each campaign, go into your keywords and add your negative keywords. You can even do keywords in your ad group as well. So the same thing, you can add negative keywords, but now you're getting even messier. So it's kind of hard to organize that way. What I suggest is go up here to search and just type negative keywords in there, and you're going to find negative keyword lists. Go to that. So as you can see, I already have a couple. So what I'm going to do is add a new one, and we're going to call this send to alpha campaign. And I'm actually going to put a 1 in front of this just because I already have one that's set up this way. So let's do this, and let's say we are targeting, in this case, let's say Nike. Let's continue on with Nike. So we're going to have Nike as a negative keyword. So I could just type in Nike here like this, but if I do, that's going to be a broad match. So we don't want a broad match, and I'd love to do another video on this, but for now, just understand that if you don't put anything around this keyword, it will target just like that. It'll target anything to do with Nike. It essentially allows Google to expand things quite a bit. So what we want to do is, I like to use phrase match. And so what phrase match will allow you to do is it'll allow you to, when someone searches for Nike shoes, it'll come up. If someone searches for shoes Nike or great running shoes Nike, and they have Nike in the name, it'll allow it to come up. You can also do exact match, but I think phrase match works great in this case. So you could do, so let's start with phrase match. And like I said, I'll do another video on that and we can talk more about the details of each of them. But for now, let's add in Nike. We can add in, all right, so we'll add in Adidas. This would be whatever keywords you want to target. You could actually target different things, like maybe you have a specific type of product that is very unique. Maybe you want to target tennis shoes only, or maybe you want to target Nike tennis shoes. Now you're targeting Nike tennis shoes. And this would maybe be a case where you want to do exact match. So if I only want it to show up for tennis, I'd put these brackets around that. It's exact match. So now it'll only target this keyword exactly. So this is going to be SKUs. It could be brand names. It can be anything to do with your brand that you want to spend more money on to target. I wouldn't put in like shoes in here or anything generic, because that's what our beta campaign is for all those generic keywords that we don't really want to spend a ton of money on, because we know that these keywords are going to convert a lot better. If someone's typing in Nike shoes, Nike anything, and they see our site and they click on our ad, we know they are more likely to buy than someone that's typing in best shoes. So this is where this whole structure comes in. So let's save this, and this is your alpha campaign. So it's sending to your alpha campaign. So we still have another step to set this up. All right, so we're gonna have another campaign. I'm gonna call it no-go beta alpha keywords. So this campaign, you can name whatever works for you, but for me, this means that nothing is going to the beta or the alpha keywords. So I'm gonna create, in this, I would want to target anything I don't want to show up for anywhere. So let's say I don't have any black running shoes. Maybe I only sell white running shoes. I'm very specific to that type of running shoe. So I could type in here black, and maybe I don't have any green running shoes. I could type in green, because these are two different target keywords I don't want to show up for anywhere. So Google's going to try to match your keywords to your products, but sometimes they don't get it right. So you're going to end up with some keywords that don't make sense. So you might have someone typing in a different type of shoe, maybe a different brand name you don't even carry, and maybe you don't want to show up for that brand name because you are selling Nike and they're typing in something completely different like Adidas, and you don't have Adidas. So that in that case, you'd want to put in here that you'd want to have something in here. But right now, I'm just going to leave it blank and save that. All right, and just in case you had the same issue as I did, what I did is since I didn't put a keyword in, it didn't actually show my negative keyword list. So just make sure you throw in one keyword, something just for my no-go beta alpha keyword list. It didn't actually show up because of that. So just throw one in there and throw in something you would never want to show up for. It can even be a random word that's not related to your business at all. And that way, at least it shows up and we can set this next part up. All right, so that's it for that part, but we're going to actually link these negative keywords to our different accounts, or to our different campaigns, sorry. So go into your send to alpha campaign. And as you can see, our keywords are up top here. If you need to add more keywords, here's the button here. So what we're going to do is come down to the bottom here. It says apply to campaigns. Click on that. All right, so as you can see, I have quite a few campaigns, but what we're going to do is I want you to actually go up here and find your beta campaign. So check off your beta campaign. And like I said, this is sending to your alpha campaign. So what it's doing is filtering different keywords that you've selected, and it's going to send those over to your alpha campaign. So we want it to do that through the beta campaign and force it to go right through to your alpha. And that's the keywords we just put in there. So the Nike, the brand names. and the product name. So say done on that. That's the only one it's linking to. So that's it for the send to alpha campaign. Go back to your negative keyword list. And then we're going to go to our no-go beta alpha keywords. And just as you would expect, we're going to actually send this one, we're going to apply this one to both our alpha and our beta campaign. And actually, we'll even include our retargeting on this. Really, you probably don't need to include your retargeting because your retargeting won't kick in unless someone's already searched for that term. But you may as well include it because there's things we wouldn't want to, because if they search for that next, we may show up for that. We don't really want to show up for the keywords we've specifically said we don't want to show up for. So it's up to you whether you have a retargeting or not. It won't really affect you too much. I'm going to have it on mine. So I'm going to have all three of these as negative keywords on my negative keywords list. So hit that done. As you can see, now all three campaigns are connected to the negative keyword list. All right, great. Now we have our negative keyword set up. So anytime anyone searches the brand name, it's going to go to your alpha campaign. Anytime someone searches for a generic shoe or generic whatever it is, it's going to go to your beta campaign. And then soon, whenever someone comes back to search, it'll go to your retargeting campaign. There is one thing that we have to worry about now. Right now, we have these individual budgets. And what happens if one of these budgets runs out before the other one? Things can go a little bit haywire. So things kind of start to mesh together. So we want to make sure that if we are on a limited budget, that we are not running out of one budget before the other, because you can start spending a lot of money on generic keywords if one of your budgets runs out. So let's solve this problem. It's a pretty easy one to do. So let's go up to go-to and type in shared budgets. Once you're in here, you can see again, I have a few shared budgets set up. We're going to create one here, and let's just call this, I'm going to put a 1 in front because I already have this, alpha beta budget. And let's say we're on a limited budget here. We only want to spend $3. And I think I mentioned this earlier in the video, but if to figure out your monthly budget, times this by 30.4. And if you times it by 30.4, it's going to come out with the amount that you would spend in a month. And what Google will do is they will go over your budget a bit and they will go under your budget a bit. And as it goes through the month, they will try to balance out so you end up with a monthly budget that would be about $3 a day. So whatever it is, it'll go over that budget. So just don't worry if it does go over and it does go under a bit. It's not going to affect you too much, but over the long term, over a month, it's going to balance out and end up being close to what you want it to be. So let's go to actual. So this is actual daily spend. May vary. That's what I was just explaining here, and it goes over this question mark. So let's go add to campaigns. So you can do this later, or you can do it now. Might as well do it now. So let's go through our campaigns, and right down here I have my alpha campaign, I have my beta campaign, and I can even add this to my retargeting. You could have a separate budget for your retargeting, but I'm just going to add them all into the same budget. It just makes life easy. So that's all I need to do there. Now, this is where we can actually set up one more step here. So there's standard or there's accelerated. What I would suggest if you're starting out is go standard. It delivers ads kind of gradually over time. So if you go accelerated, it's going to put all your ad spend up front, but you might run out of budget before you hit the end of the day. So then if someone comes back to search for the product you're advertising, they might not see that product because you've spent all your budget right up front. If you have a large budget, then by all means, accelerated may be an option for you. But I suggest going standard for now. So let's save that. All right, so now we have our shared budget set up. We have our campaign priority set up. We have our different accounts organized proper, or different campaigns organized properly, so our brands and everything segmented properly. We are missing a few other items though that will help us in the long run. So one of them is going to be conversions. We have to somehow track our conversions. So that's going to be an important one. I'm going to get into another video because it requires us setting up a little bit on our website as well as on here. But that's something that's going to be very important to set up in the future. You can run your ads just like this without the conversion tracking. But I suggest as soon as you possibly can, let's get that set up so you have some conversion tracking. And there's a few other things that you're obviously going to be thinking about, and that's going to be your bids. Right off the bat, you're going to have to set your bids. And now we can do that individually by product. So set them low, I would suggest at first, and then work your way up. You can adjust them at any time. And bids are fairly easy to do, and I can show you different tricks and tips how to do that and how to do that in bulk as well. But for now, this is going to be the end of the video. I hope you guys got enough out of this. I guess the last thing to mention here would be if you want to make this live, which you definitely can at this point. So I'll just do this with you right now, quick. So go over to your campaigns. I got my alpha, my beta, retargeting. Obviously, we're going to leave retargeting unless you have this previously set up. Let's go to alpha, beta, click those off. Come over to here and go over to here where it says enable with the little green dot. Enable and wait for them to turn green. And there you go. Now I have 2 active campaigns that are running, and I'm gonna have to turn those off because I don't want those actually to run. So, but that's it for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification. That way you get notified of any new videos that come out. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I will see you guys in the next video. As I was mentioning all along here, we have a lot of different videos to cover. I really want to get into retargeting, so that way you guys have your full 3-tier kind of setup, or 3 campaign setup, and that will finish off your campaigns, and at least then we can get into a lot of the finer details. All right, have a good day, guys. See you next time.